lost my way. With just a glance, yeah, I was sold. My head in disarray. How are ya? How's your night been gone? I said, I'm not that type of guy, you know. But why don't we talk? Yeah, let me buy you a drink. And then she kissed my face, yeah. I'm falling. I was all in. Now I'm running to survive. You got me in overdrive. I'm running, yeah, you've done it. I'm running so fast, you love it. I hope this day it never ends now. The pretty face has got me in overdrive. After she had me in her grips, then she let go and tossed me in, just like a shirt into the wash. We'll never know what could have been. I want another chance to prove that I could be the one for you. How could you make me feel so good and then do those evil things you do now? I'm falling. I was all in. Now I'm running to survive. You got me in overdrive. I'm running, yeah, you've done it. I'm running so fast, you love it. I hope this day it never ends now. Your pretty face has got me in overdrive.
Hey there, how's it going? My name is David and you're watching Kai City RC. Welcome back to the channel. I decided to put the commentary at the end of this video for this one. The reason being is I get a lot of questions about racing in Japan, how it's organized, what it's like. And so in this one, rather than try and keep the runtime very short and try and rush through it, I thought I'd take my time and explain it. And I know most people don't want to sit around and listen to me waffle. So I figured if I put it at the end of the video, only those that really want to know what it's like, I like it to stick around until the end. So without further ado, yesterday I was able to go to Tamiya's Vintage Meet. It was held at Carnosa Fumotto here in Yamanashi, Japan. The Tamiya Vintage Meet was part of a larger 2-day RC festival. Day one, the Saturday, was the Tamiya Vintage Meet along with Pine Beach's Sukoyaka tuned race. And then day two, today, which unfortunately I wasn't able to go to, we had RC Soccer with Daniel RC, a local RC YouTuber. Team Chonmage, I believe, was there, and one make Lunchbox Race and a few other bits and pieces. So in this video, I'm just going to talk about Saturday and what it was like. Over here, Yurui style racing. Yurui roughly translates to loose. Loose style racing is really gaining in popularity. So by loose, we mean it's not strict. The barrier to entry is very low. You don't need an expensive RC car, an expensive high-end electronics, and expensive batteries. It's usually, budget kits with 540 motors or 380 motors. There's no transponders, there's no marshals. The races are all loosely organized. There's no scrutineering. You don't have to have a certain weight car or anything like that. It's all just about getting together with people who, like you, enjoy the hobby and just having fun. And yesterday was a perfect example of that. So yesterday was organized by Tamiya and Pine Beach in a collaboration. So the rules and the regulations were kind of a hybrid. So as far as the machines went, it was Tamiya's usual rules. You're only allowed to use Tamiya buggies, of course, naturally. Tamiya official option parts, hop-ups. And then Tamiya stipulate over here that you must use not their lithium batteries, but you must use lithium batteries. Basically, if you want to race in any of Tamiya's races, and indeed go to their circuits, you have to use lithium batteries. They do not allow LiPo batteries at all. So the machine regulations were kind of Tamiya side, whereas the race format was Pine Beach. So that's marshal-less racing, where you do 3 laps, usually like 3 rounds of 3 laps. The starting grid, the first starting grid is you draw straws. So in yesterday's case, you actually pull out plastic samurai swords from a bucket, and then we all unsheath them at the same time, and each sword has got a little number telling you your starting grid. And then that's for the first round. And then the second round is reverse starting grid. So, for example, if you were to cross the finish line first in round 1, then you start at the back of the pack for round 2. And it always makes the racing interesting, because the fast people are going to end up at the back of the pack for the second race, the third race, and so they have to, try and navigate their way through everyone else that's in front of them. So it always makes the racing very interesting. There are no marshals, of course, so if you do get stuck or hung up, then you are basically out of the race, unless somebody was to knock into you and get you back on the track and get you moving again. But yeah, it's a very laid back. So yesterday there was the 2-wheel drive vintage class, a 4-wheel drive vintage class, a DT series race, and DTO1, DTO2, 03, 04, etc. And also a Sukoyaka motor tuned race. I opted, because I'm a huge vintage fan, anyone that watches this channel will know that, I opted to run in both of the 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive vintage races. Hence, there isn't a lot of good vintage footage. I was able to shoot a lot of the DT races and the Sukoyaka races, but most of the vintage races are just these static GoPro shots. So apologies for that if you were looking forward to seeing the vintage cars going around in close-ups. I just couldn't film and shoot at the same time. So I chose to go into the 2-wheel drive with my Fox. And my Fox I built it a few years ago, and I think the last time I drove it was for a YouTube video, and that was probably 2, maybe closer to 3 years ago, and since then it's not moved, unfortunately. So it was first outing. It was first time to be driven on the track as well, and I was very, very impressed with how well it did. The other competitors were mostly running Grasshoppers, Wild Ones. There was an Astute in there. There was a couple of Foxes. And if you're watching the footage, you'll see there's a blockhead motors. Well, a blockhead motors. There's a Lunchbox running around. That was actually driven by Paisen RC. Paisen. If you don't know who Paisen is, if you've watched any of Tamiya's live streams or any of Tamiya's promo videos, he's the guy in that. Google if you don't know who he is. So he was there as well on behalf of Tamiya, representing Tamiya. Yeah, I did really well with the Nova Fox. The same could not be said about the 4-wheel drive class, so the Super Hot Shot. I'd done a very brief run outside my house just to make sure. It was a new build, you see. I just put it together, did a very brief run outside my house just to make sure everything worked. So essentially, race 1 of the event was its shakedown run, and I quickly discovered that the Super Hot Shot is not so hot on a dirt track with tight technical corners. It's fine in a straight line, but it all comes to pieces as soon as you try and turn around a corner, because its turning circle is awful, epically bad. It just does not want to turn. So I had quite a bit of difficulty on the infield section trying to get the car to actually go around the corners. So I didn't do too well, but like I said, this is all very kind of like laid back, not serious racing, which was a little bit funny because at the end of the day, I posted up on social media that I'd won first place. I wasn't expecting first place in the 2-wheel drive category. I was not expecting to get that certificate or there to be an award ceremony or anything like that. Indeed, yesterday when we were racing, if you crossed the finish line first, Nori-san from Pine Beach had just come back from Vintage Bash 4.0 in Australia, and he brought with him some omiyage, Japanese. He brought with him some souvenirs, and so he was handing out little mini prizes. So if you crossed the finish line first, he gave you a walnut. He brought some walnuts back from Australia. And if you crossed the finish line second, he was handing out small bottles of tea. And third, you got a packet of rice crackers. So during the day, I'd picked up several of these walnuts, bottles of tea and rice crackers. It wasn't until the very end of the day when a friend of mine said, "Oh, David, you need to go over there and speak with Paisen RC and tell him, what, little kind of like prizes you'd won during the day." And I was like, "Oh, why?" And he's like, "Well, I don't know, you've just got to go over there." So I went over and spoke with Paisen and said, "Well, I've got, a couple of these walnuts and a couple of these and a couple of them." And it turned out he was using them to put together a points. And well, long story short, I ended up winning the two-wheel drive class. Again, I can't stress this enough. It's not really serious racing. It's just for fun. But it was kind of like, wow, they even printed out a proper certificate and he signed it and everything. So I was like, wow. So yeah, the Fox drives really well. And if you're on the fence about picking one up, definitely get one. Yeah, if you need to get to the electronics, they're alright paying. But aside from that, they drive really well. So there we go. That was the Tamiya Vintage Meet at Fumotto, Carnosa Fumotto here in Yamanashi. I've still got several other events coming up this month, including the Yokomo Off-Road Festival. I think that's on the 22nd, 23rd of November. And then the following weekend, I've got round 3 of the Rear-Wheel Drive Cup at Carnosa. And the following morning, I'm off to the Fuji area for Tamiya Blockhead Motors Outdoor Festival. So I'm going to try and get videos of all those put together and get them up on the channel. Anyway, that's it for this report. Thank you for watching. Apologies for waffling on, but I know some people are interested about, the ins and outs of racing and how it's done over here. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.